Under the scorching Ohio sun, a powerful millionaire stood beside his sleek, luxurious car, sweat pouring down his face, a look of helpless desperation in his eyes. Suddenly, a small figure emerged from the distant horizon, sparking a faint glimmer of hope in him, only to flicker out when he realized it was just a skinny 13-year-old boy. But what happened next was beyond anyone's expectations. The boy's actions shattered the millionaire's 70-year-old wall of prejudice. Can an ordinary boy change a millionaire's worldview? In just the next few minutes, you will witness this magical story unfold. The sun beat down mercilessly, making the roads on the outskirts of Cleveland feel like they were melting under the blazing light. Benjamin White, a 76-year-old millionaire with silver hair and a meticulously tailored suit, stood next to his gleaming Audi, muttering curses under his breath. The sleek black car, a symbol of his wealth, was now useless with a flat tire. Sweat dripped down his forehead, soaking his monogrammed handkerchief as he dabbed at it, grumbling about life's ironies. What frustrated him more was the unanswered calls to roadside assistance and the 30 minutes that had ticked by without a callback. Determined to figure something out, he was about to resign himself to walking to a distant village under the scorching heat when a small dot appeared on the horizon. At first, he squinted, thinking the heat was playing tricks on his eyes. But the dot grew clearer, revealing a boy, about 12 or 13 years old, strolling toward him with a small bag slung over his shoulder. The boy wore a faded t-shirt, tattered sneakers, and his dark skin glistened under the harsh sun. He walked with a calm confidence that caught Benjamin off guard. As the boy got closer, he slowed down and stopped in front of Benjamin. He glanced at the flat tire, then looked up and asked, "Having trouble with your car, sir?" His voice was soft and polite, yet carried an unusual certainty. Benjamin replied curtly, "Yes." He frowned, not bothering to hide his irritation. "If you've got nothing better to do, just stay out of my way." But before he could finish, the boy cut in. "If you don't mind, I can help you change the spare tire." The offer was calm, like it was no big deal. Benjamin raised an eyebrow, his voice rising slightly. "A kid like you knows how to fix a car?" He thought the boy was kidding, his eyes full of doubt. The boy replied, steady and confident, "Yes, I do. I can help you." The certainty in his words threw Benjamin for a loop. He paused, sizing up his options. This kid seemed sure of himself, he thought. Might as well let him try. "I'm not getting through to roadside assistance anyway." He nodded. "All right, kid, give it a shot." His tone softened, though still laced with skepticism. Then he introduced himself. "I'm Benjamin White. Who are you?" The boy smiled gently. "Nice to meet you, Mr. White. I'm Isaiah." He knelt beside the tire, looked up and asked, "Does your car have a spare?" Benjamin nodded. "Of course." He walked to the trunk, popped it open and showed Isaiah where the spare was stashed. Before long, Benjamin watched, half amazed, half curious, as Isaiah got to work. His small hands moved with skill, loosening the lug nuts, jacking up the car, swapping the flat for the spare, like a pro mechanic. The intense heat didn't faze him. He just wiped his forehead with the back of his hand and kept going. "Where'd you learn this?" Benjamin couldn't help but ask. Isaiah answered without looking up. "Mr. Johnson, my neighbor, he taught me everything about cars." "Everything, huh?" Benjamin raised an eyebrow. "So you like messing with tires in this heat?" Isaiah shrugged, a slight smile on his lips. "Beats sitting around doing nothing." Benjamin let out a dry chuckle, the tension in his chest easing up. There was something about this boy, his straightforwardness, his realness, that put Benjamin at ease, a stark contrast to the calculating types he usually dealt with. And just like that, The tire was fixed, and the Audi was ready to roll. Benjamin reached into his wallet, pulled out a $100 bill, and handed it to the boy. "Here for your trouble." But Isaiah shook his head right away. "No, thank you, sir. I didn't do it for money." Benjamin pressed. "Come on, you deserve something." Isaiah smiled. "Helping people makes me happy. That's enough." And he turned to walk away. Those words left Benjamin frozen, the bill still in his hand. He'd offered money to countless people, and no one had ever turned it down. Yet this kid did. Isaiah faded into the heat haze, leaving Benjamin staring after him through the rearview mirror. It wasn't until his phone rang that he snapped out of it. It was Sophia, his almost 13-year-old granddaughter. Benjamin opened the car door, slid into the cool, air-conditioned interior, and answered, "Hello." Sophia's sweet voice came through. "Grandpa, are you done with work? When'll you be home?" His tone warmed, softer than it had been with Isaiah. "I just had some car trouble, but I'll be home in about 2 hours." He buckled up, ended the call, and gripped the steering wheel, guiding the car smoothly down the road. The breeze slipped through the cracked window, carrying the faint scent of dry grass, but his mind kept drifting back to the boy walking away, hands smudged with grease, that innocent smile etched in his memory. At a crossroads, he stopped the car, glancing instinctively at the rearview mirror, half hoping to catch sight of Isaiah again among the passers-by. But all he saw was glaring sunlight bouncing back, making him squint. Soon enough, the car was parked neatly in the spacious garage of his mansion. Benjamin stepped out, his shoes clicking on the concrete, but that strange feeling stuck with him like a shadow. He pushed open the front door, his tired feet hitting the cool wooden floor. It had been an unexpected day, and his thoughts still swirled around Isaiah, the boy who'd fixed his tire and refused a reward. Inside the living room, soft, golden light glowed, and right away, Sophia's clear voice rang out. "Grandpa!" Her call yanked him back to the present, brushing aside some of his wandering thoughts. Benjamin turned, a warm smile spreading across his face. He bent down, his aching back creaking a bit, and opened his arms to hug the little girl rushing toward him. "Guess what? Something unexpected happened to me today," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "I'll tell you about it. A boy about your age helped me." Sophia looked up, her big round eyes sparkling with curiosity, waiting for the story. He settled into his familiar armchair, Sophia snuggling beside him, chin resting on her hand, listening intently. "So this boy, Isaiah, fixed your tire and didn't take any money?" she asked, her voice a mix of surprise and delight. "Not a penny," Benjamin replied, his eyes reflecting a puzzled look. Sophia giggled. "That's unbelievable, Grandpa." He nodded slowly, murmuring as if to himself, "Yeah, most people would have taken it." A strange sense of something missing welled up inside him. Not regret over the money, but a longing to know more about this remarkable kid. But before he could dwell on it too long, sleep didn't come easy that night. Isaiah's words echoed in his head. "Helping people makes me happy." He drifted off without even realizing it. Before we continue the story, where in the world are you listening from? Please let me know in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to tap that little like button to motivate us to create more exciting stories. The next morning, Benjamin woke up earlier than usual, his mind still haunted by Isaiah, the black boy who'd fixed his tire without taking a dime. That quiet refusal gnawed at him like an unanswered riddle he couldn't shake, even in his sprawling, luxurious mansion. Right then, he decided he had to find the boy. Slipping into a tailored suit, his usual armor against the world, he grabbed his keys and headed for the door. But just then, Sophia bounded into the hallway, eyes shining with excitement. "Grandpa, Can I come too? I want to meet Isaiah, she chirped, tugging at his sleeve. Benjamin smiled and ruffled her hair. All right, but you've got to keep up. We're going on a little adventure. They climbed into the sleek Audi, the leather seats cool against their skin. As Benjamin drove, he glanced at the spot where his car had broken down the day before. Suddenly, the image of Isaiah's small, steady hands flashed in the rearview mirror, a reminder that he couldn't let this go. Their trip to East Cleveland took them through the city center and onto narrower roads, where the scenery shifted dramatically. Lush green lawns and grand mansions gave way to modest homes with peeling paint. Benjamin gripped the steering wheel tighter, realizing he was seeing everything through a fresh lens today, like he was searching for something he'd missed in all his years hustling real estate. Their first stop was a modern gas station on the edge of town, sleek and clean, with shiny pumps and a convenience store full of overpriced snacks. Benjamin parked by a chrome-plated pump, Sophia trailing behind. The air reeked of gasoline, but as they stepped inside, he felt a chill from the young guy behind the counter. With slicked back hair and a polo shirt sporting the station's logo, he glanced at Benjamin's suit and the Audi outside, his eyes cold and unwelcoming. Good morning, Benjamin started, forcing a polite smile. I'm looking for a boy named Isaiah. He helped me with my car yesterday. I think he lives around here. The guy replied flatly, barely looking up from his computer. Don't know any Isaiah. If you're not buying gas, you should go. I've got work to do. Benjamin frowned, not used to being brushed off so bluntly. I'm sure he's nearby. Do you know anyone who might help? Look, the guy sighed. I don't know the kid. You buying gas or not? Swallowing his annoyance, Benjamin shook his head. No, thanks. He turned away, Sophia squeezing his hand and whispering, He's so rude. Benjamin chuckled softly. Yeah, he is. But we'll try somewhere else. So they left the modern station and drove deeper into town, pulling up at an old-fashioned gas station on the outskirts. The pumps were rusty, the shop humble, and the air smelled of gasoline mixed with stale coffee. Inside, a middle-aged man with a weathered face and grease-stained overalls stood behind the counter. He looked at Benjamin and Sophia with curiosity, but not hostility. Good morning. Benjamin tried again, hopeful this time. I'm looking for a boy named Isaiah. He helped me fix my tire yesterday. Isaiah, huh? The man grunted, leaning on the counter. The kid about 12 or 13? Yeah, I know him. Always running around helping folks. I think he lives near the park. Benjamin's pulse quickened. Do you know exactly where? The man shook his head. Can't say for sure, but Mrs. Thompson out there knows everybody. She might help. Benjamin thanked him and turned to leave, but the man's gaze softened as it landed on Sophia. Cute kid, he said, nodding toward her. Bet she keeps you busy, huh? Sophia grinned and waved shyly. Benjamin laughed. She sure does. Outside, they spotted Mrs. Thompson sitting on a wooden chair, her thin frame wrapped in a knitted shawl despite the summer heat. Her sharp eyes scanned the street like she was guarding the neighborhood's secrets. Benjamin approached carefully. Excuse me, ma'am, he said, tipping his head respectfully. I'm looking for a boy named Isaiah. I heard he lives near the park. Do you know where I can find him? Mrs. Thompson sized him up, from his polished shoes to Sophia's wide-eyed innocence. Then, surprising him, she nodded slowly, but confidently. Isaiah's a good boy, always helping, never asking for anything. His mom raised him right. She pointed a bony finger down the road. His house is at the end of Maple Street. White fence, needs a paint job. You can't miss it. Benjamin let out a breath, relief washing over him. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. I really appreciate it. She waved him off, her eyes twinkling. Tell him Mrs. T says hi, and don't scare him with that fancy suit of yours." Benjamin laughed, nodding. "I'll try not to." Following Mrs. Thompson's directions, Benjamin and Sophia found Isaiah's house, a small rundown place with a faded white fence. As they approached, a young woman opened the door, startled to see an elderly man in a suit and a little girl. "Good morning, ma'am," Benjamin said warmly. "I'm Benjamin White. I'm here to thank Isaiah for helping me with my car yesterday." The woman, Isaiah's mom, smiled, her surprise melting into hospitality. "Oh, you must be the man he told me about. Please come in. I'm Serena." Inside, the house was modest but neat, with worn furniture and the faint smell of fresh-baked bread. Serena insisted they stay for lunch, serving up a simple meal of sandwiches and soup. Benjamin noticed the care she put into everything, despite their tight circumstances. Over lunch, Isaiah said, "Every time I help someone, it makes me happy. That's all I need." His words hit Benjamin hard, making him realize how he'd lost sight of simple joys in his chase for wealth. After lunch, Isaiah and Sophia ran out to play in the backyard, their laughter echoing through the house. Benjamin watched through the window, a smile tugging at his lips. Sophia, used to luxury, was now happily digging in the dirt with Isaiah. As the day wore on, Benjamin felt a warmth in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known in years. Maybe, he thought, it's time to rediscover the simple pleasures I've forgotten. Later, Isaiah whispered to Sophia, "There's a secret in the house I want to show you." Excited, Sophia called Benjamin to join them. They headed to the backyard to see the family's little garden. Before Benjamin's eyes was a peaceful sight. Neat rows of vegetables, a few small fruit trees, and in the middle, an old but clean swing, like the pride of the household. Isaiah beamed. "Mom and I planted all this. Every afternoon, I water the plants and play on the swing." Benjamin looked at the boy, a strange feeling stirring inside him. Despite their poverty, Isaiah found joy in the simplest things. But looking closer, he saw the swing was worn out. Rusty chains, a cracked seat, ready to give out any day. Right then, an idea sparked. Without hesitation, he turned to Serena, Isaiah's mom, and said earnestly, "I've got a proposal. I want to renovate your house in the boys' swing, not as charity, but to thank Isaiah for his kindness that day." Serena froze, about to protest, but Benjamin gently cut in. "This is something I really want to do. Please let me give you this." Serena went quiet, her eyes welling up, then nodded softly. "Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I don't know what to say." The setting sun bathed the tiny backyard in golden light, making it feel like a dream. Benjamin and Sophia said goodbye to Serena and Isaiah before climbing into the car. The Audi rolled slowly, Benjamin steering carefully around potholes on the rural road. Sophia, beside him, murmured, "Grandpa, I like Isaiah's house. It's small, with a garden and a swing, not as big as ours, but Ms. Serena and Isaiah are always together." Her innocent words caught him off guard. He realized Sophia was growing up, no longer the spoiled kid she'd once been. Kids need to see different walks of life to learn tolerance and gratitude, he thought. Their chat faded as the car pulled into the mansion's garage. It had been a long, tiring, joyful day. While Sophia got ready for her bath, Benjamin pulled out his phone and called Hudson, a longtime friend who specialized in home renovations. After a few rings, Hudson picked up, chipper as ever. Benjamin laid out his plan, and Hudson promised, 3 days, and I'll have a crew ready. We'll make that house brand new." 3 days later, on a bright weekend morning, a skilled team of workers showed up at Isaiah's place. They jumped right in, fixing the leaky roof, replacing the rotted wood floor, and, most importantly, swapping out the old swing for a shiny new one. Benjamin didn't just watch. He rolled up his sleeves, painting the fence himself and planting vibrant flower beds. It had been ages since he'd worked with his hands, and the sweat rolling down his face brought a simple joy he hadn't felt in years of desk-bound busyness. Isaiah darted around the yard, helping the crew and firing off endless questions about construction. Benjamin smiled, seeing the boy's passion for it. Meanwhile, Sophia was in the kitchen with Serena, fumbling through her first attempt at pancakes. Laughter spilled out as the initial batch came out lumpy, but smelling great. Watching Sophia play happily with Isaiah, Benjamin thought, she doesn't care about wealth or skin color. Maybe I was wrong to shield her in luxury without teaching her kindness. As the renovation wrapped up, Benjamin felt a shift in himself. He wasn't chasing money or status anymore. He was starting to value the little things and human connections. One afternoon, resting by the freshly painted white fence with Sophia, he asked Isaiah, "Got any dreams for the future?" Isaiah smiled brightly, eyes shining. "I want to help more people, like you helped my family." The boy's pure answer left Benjamin speechless. He recalled Isaiah's words, "When you help others, you're the first one to feel happy." Now he was living that truth more than ever. In just a week, Isaiah's little house was transformed. Neighbors dropped by to celebrate, bringing humble but heartfelt gifts. A 60-year-old woman with salt and pepper hair and a kind, round face, wearing a short brown shirt, carried a basket of fresh eggs. A 70-year-old man in a wide-brimmed hat pushed over a freshly painted old bike as a special gift for Isaiah. The boy piped up, "Mr. Benjamin, this is Mr. Johnson, the one who taught me about cars." The vibe was festive, like a mini-block party in the heart of the struggling neighborhood. Benjamin stood among them, dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, a far cry from the suit-wearing man he'd been. It hit him. Real happiness doesn't come from fancy stuff. It comes from people. That roadside encounter had taught Benjamin a big lesson: the value of giving and the power of kindness. Watching Isaiah, still wearing that gentle smile, he knew the boy hadn't just changed his life. He'd flipped his whole worldview. But Benjamin wanted to do one more thing. He set up a scholarship fund for Isaiah, making sure the boy could chase his dreams without money holding him back. When Isaiah heard, he ran over and hugged him, eyes sparkling. "Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. I'll never forget this." From a random moment by the roadside, Isaiah and Benjamin had built a lasting bond. They didn't just help each other through tough spots. They learned together about kindness and what life's really about. If you find the situation in this story interesting, please press the like button, and if you want to hear similar stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next exciting story.